On another glorious night for soccer in Seattle, a summer of success for the Seattle Reign continues with a possible trap game against the expansion Houston Dash at Memorial Stadium. And great to have you with us, everyone, along with Leslie Gallimore, the head coach at the University of Washington. I'm Tom Glasgow. Well, it has been a summer, in fact, a season of success for the Seattle Reign. Leslie, as they've already wrapped up first place in the NWSL, 3 games left to play. So how do you keep the focus before the playoffs begin?
Well, there's 2 things. One, we already know the quality of Laura Harvey's management. She's an outstanding manager, and this is the fun time of year to manage when you've had a lot of success going into the playoff and the championship run. She's got to manage players' time on the pitch. She's got to manage their injuries, their health, their rest, but at the same time, in her words, keep true to who they are, which is play the brand of soccer that they want and not go changing things or just throw games away. They want to win. And so it'll be interesting to see with rested players how she manages that. And again, we've talked about the depth of this team all year, and I don't think it'll be a problem.
Well, there's no doubt they wouldn't be where they are right now without the play of Kim Little. The Scottish international has just won the league's Player of the Month award. That's 3 out of 4 months. I think that's a pretty solid indicator she's going to be the league's MVP. She has scored 4 times this season alone against Houston. She'll certainly be a concern for them tonight.
Yeah, the superlatives we're just running out of them when it comes to Kim Little. She obviously the little player that plays big, the magician with the ball, the savvy of a player twice her age. She's just a tremendous pickup for the Seattle Reign, and I think a treat for our country to be able to see her play amongst our national team players and see what kind of sophistication she brings. And again, I think it's a foregone conclusion that she's the MVP of this league. I'd be hard-pressed to think there's anyone else out there that matches what Kim's done for the Seattle Reign this year.
Seattle in its last 3 matches has outscored the opposition 10-2. No coincidence that streak of quality play has taken place with a healthy Megan Rapinoe back with this team.
Yeah, and Megan Rapinoe is someone who I think they're still trying to rest. That injury was long, it was arduous. There's national team camps and qualifying coming up later in the year. I know that Jill Ellis and Laura have been in close contact about how to utilize Megan Rapinoe, and Megan Rapinoe is a professional. She's going to tell you how to use her as well. So, but with Megan on the field, there's no doubt that this team has another dimension. So disappointing in these last 3 games how much we may or may not see her, but it's important to have a healthy Megan Rapinoe making a championship run.
Yeah, Seattle, the top offensive team in the league, so the last line of defense will be key for Houston tonight. It will not be Erin McLeod, the regular in goal. Instead, the start goes to Bianca Henninger, and she will face quite a challenge tonight.
Yeah, and Erin McLeod is an outstanding goalkeeper. Randy Waldrum wants to give time to players that deserve time, and Bianca Henninger has had a lot of youth national team experience. She's played several years since graduating from Santa Clara University. She's a quality goalkeeper, and I don't think the change is that big of a deal. She's going to be busy most likely, but what goalkeeper doesn't like to be a little bit busy?
As I mentioned, this could be a trap game, a great opportunity for Houston to pull off what would be the biggest upset this season in the NWSL. Great to have you with us on this Wednesday night from Seattle. And let's take a look at the starting lineup for Randy Waldrum's expansion Houston Dash. Defensively, we talked about Henninger in goal. Her back line is Oakes, Engen, Diggs, and Romero in the midfield. Becky Edwards, Kika Toulouse, and the former Seattle Reign player from last season, Kaylin Kyle up front. Melissa Henderson, Tiffany McCarty, and Kaylia Ohai. She is a outstanding young talent in this league. The starting lineup for Laura Harvey's Seattle Reign. 3 national team players, 3 U.S. national team players will start on the bench tonight and likely stay there. Hope Solo, Megan Rapinoe, and Sydney LaRue. So in goal, it's Haley Kottmeyer. She's made the most of 3 previous starts this season. Her back line, Cox, Barnes, Fletcher, and Reed. That has been the standard for a good portion of this season for Seattle. The midfield, very familiar names: Keelan Winters, Kim Little, Jess Fishlock, and up front, Bev Goebel, Kirsten Dahlstream, and Naomi Kawasumi. So, Leslie, even when you take 3 star players out of the lineup, you have quality players moving in to fill the void.
And as we remember at the beginning of this season, the Seattle Reign were without the duties of a lot of their players that are their stars, so to speak, on international duty, on injuries, etc. And so the moving parts, the interchangeable puzzle pieces continue to be a reason why this team has won the Shield and a reason why they're going to work as hard as they can to make a run at the championship.
Seattle with a record of 15 wins, 1 loss, 5 ties, 50 points, 3 games left to play. Houston with a record of 5 wins, 12 losses, 3 ties, 18 points in 8th place in the 9-team NWSL.
And as you see standing around the ball, former Reign player Kaylin Kyle, Canadian international, back here to face her former teammates and friends.
She was here earlier this season with Boston and was traded during the course of the season to Houston. Referee tonight is Michael Zapata. And a nice crowd here this evening. Again, the weather has been spectacular, and it continues.
And speaking of the weather, Bianca Henninger is going to have that as a challenge right off the bat. The sun is setting. It's getting lower. There are some tall trees in the west end of the field that maybe the sun will dip behind sooner than later to block the sun. But as you can see right now, she's staring directly into it.
Shielding her eyes as best she can. Houston unable to get much accomplished in the final third. So for Haley Kottmeyer, the former star at the University of Michigan, a goal kick. Haley's goal against average in those 3 games, .33. She had just allowed just 1 goal in that 3-game stretch, filling in for Hope Solo. So a nice opportunity for Haley to get the opportunity to start tonight. A year ago, a young lady who really wasn't sure if she'd have a future, not only with this team, but in this league. She did not lose her passion for the game and is really happy that she stuck with it. She's made the most of her opportunity.
She's a great young player. She's trained really hard, training alongside the other keepers in their platoon, including Hope. Ben Dragamon's done an outstanding job with them, and Haley's really improved over the year.
Kawasumi, Goebel. Boy, a terrific pass. Those 2 teammates in Japan at INAC, they are on loan from that club to Seattle, and they have both made such positive impacts with this team. Kawasumi, 7 goals, 4 assists. Bev Goebel, 4 goals, 4 assists. They've been outstanding.
It's not what I talk about when I usually talk about soccer players, but these 2 are the sweetest human beings you will ever meet. You talk to them off the field, and you just want to wrap them up, put them in your pocket, and take them home with you. They're just they're great people and so kind and gentle, and it's almost as though Bev grew up in Japan because she sort of has that calm, quiet demeanor that's pretty prevalent in the Japanese culture. And Naho is just, she fools you. She's a force to be reckoned with on the field.
More of a silent assassin, right? I mean,
exactly.
If you give her an inch, she will take a mile.
Like
She's
a lot
quite
of
a player.
the Japanese national team players, you smile and they bow and nod and then they kick your butt. So you got to be careful.
Well, she's been such
deceiving.
a terrific asset, yeah.
Yeah, but what I would say about that last play there, the ball that Naho played, I was going to be ultra impressed if Bev, it was a little bit into the sun. I would have been surprised if she didn't try to take it down the way she did, but it was a little bit of a tough ball to handle, and she just didn't get the touch on it that she wanted.
Stephanie Oakes playing it back to Henninger, getting the start tonight in place of Aaron McLeod, and it's really just an opportunity, according to Coach Waldron, just to give Aaron a break, a rest as the season winds down.
And the Houston Dash starting the season and starting the draft and putting this club together when they put this club together. Randy is a terrific seasoned coach, and a little bit like Laura Harvey last year. If you're losing and you're not, a team that's going to be in the playoffs, you usually see dissent, trouble, problems in the locker room, and a team that doesn't show up to play day in and day out. And that's not what you see with his team. They understand where they are, they understand where they need to build, and the exciting thing for them is where they're going to probably end up next year with some work in the offseason and the backing of an outstanding owner and franchise.
Keelan Winters playing it back. Barnes, far touchline. This is Stephanie Cox. She goes for the switch to Kawasumi. A terrific ball from Cox. And Naho looking for room to create. Well, you see how well she is on the ball, the left-footed shot. And that's not a bad decision, again, with the sun in issue in goal for Henninger. Mentioned Randy Waldrum when I arrived at the stadium tonight. He and Laura Harvey were in the midst of a fairly lengthy conversation, and Randy telling me that he views Seattle as a great model for his club, and it's accurate. Last year at this time, Seattle was where Houston is. Had dealt with a lot of injuries, a lot of misfortune. But the example, Leslie, of how quickly things can turn around in a very young league.
Absolutely, and I have a player, former player in Lindsay Elston, who on trial made the roster at the Houston Dash. Randy was ultra impressed. She was able the last time they were here to get a start. She's since waived. She had an ankle injury that kept her out for too long, and they needed healthy bodies. But a great experience for her, and not one that she has one complaint about. She loved being in their franchise. She loved being coached by their coaching staff. And you're exactly right. I think there's big things ahead for the Orange team.
Ball served in nicely by Kawasumi, but Houston, to its credit, clearing it out of danger. Ellie Reed throwing it in. Kawasumi. That's a terrific play right there. Puts it up for grabs. Becky Edwards with the header. It's not where she wants to send it to Kim Little, the likely MVP of this league, who plays it to Reed. Into the box. Goebel got a head on it.
Well, the rain right off the bat, you and I, who are probably, I don't know what we were doing, our real jobs at some point, but we missed the big 5-0 shellacking of the Portland Thorns, and how they invited us back here after that kind of victory, I'm not quite sure. But what you can see that I noticed from the last time I saw the Reign play live is that they are already possessing the ball in the front half of the field, sending numbers forward. They look comfortable, they look relaxed, they look together. And I think there was just a spot in the season where they weren't clicking as much. There was a lot of pressure on them to be undefeated. You see here, they're switching the point of attack and just taking care of the ball.
Well, strong on
Thanks,
that
Keelan.
touch by Keelan
Thanks,
Winters,
Keelan.
right on cue.
I have
No,
to
but
give
you're
her a
right.
phone call about that.
Laura Harvey saying that she thought it was the game prior to Portland, a 1-1 draw with Chicago, that started to get her team on track, and then everything came together in that 5-0 win against the Thorns, a 4-1 victory in Houston against the Dash on July 30th, and the last time out back in Kansas City. That's not easy. You get a 1-1 result there, so obviously feeling very good about it. Dahlstream, well played as
And
Henninger
Kirsten
comes out of
Dahlstream
goal.
out of Washington State University is a versatile player on this team. She's a hard worker. She's a tough player. And you see they've put her up top today for her speed. You know, she played forward in college, scored a lot of goals. They've primarily used her as an outside back in this team. But you see the pace that she has, much like the pace that Kaylia Ohai has.
Ohai in the box, players down. And Reed clears it out for Seattle.
The composure of Ellie Reed to find a player coming out of a crowd after a tackle inside the box is just, outstanding. You want players like that at the back that are comfortable. If you have to clear it, you have to clear it. But if you see an open player and you can connect coming out of the back, that's what you want to do, and that's how this team wants to play. And Ellie Reed certainly has been a stalwart at the back and so consistent over the last 2 seasons for this team.
A nice move by Bev Goebel. She drops it to Kendall Fletcher, former North Carolina Tar Heel. Here's Reed. Looking for the direct ball, and a very good one to Kawasumi. Can she keep it in? She can. And played out for the first corner of this match by Stephanie Oakes.
Great ball down the line. She didn't quite get the touch on it that she wanted. But we find the ball down in the Seattle Reign, attacking third once again.
Houston defense dealing with some early pressure in this contest.
And again, the sun could be a factor.
Like Goebel had the head on it, so a goal kick coming up for Houston. Goebel, Winters, 2 players that do a very nice job in the air, in the box for Seattle.
Yeah, not to mention Fletcher.
Yep.
Dynas when she's in, Nagara when she's in. They have a lot of threats, a lot of weapons.
Good look at Bev Goebel, number 17. And 4 goals, 4 assists this season. Jess Fishlock. It's interesting with Jess coaches, with Little coming on board, and obviously Megan Rapinoe, although she's missed a good portion of the season. Kendall Fletcher being harassed by Ohai, and Kottmeyer plays it out. I think sometimes Jess Fishlock is a forgotten star on this team. She is that, and so important to this
look
team.
Look at her there to break pressure and have Kaylin Kyle, who again was her teammate last year, chasing her from behind after a nice ball that she let roll across.
Little dropping off the header, looking for Dahlstream.
And puts her team, back into the attacking third. I was just going to talk about Jess. If we look back to last season and how much she had to do in the midfield, I've talked about this before. She always plays both sides of the ball very well, but she was trying to be a holding midfielder and an attacking midfielder at the same time. She was playing the 6, the 8, and the 10 by herself quite often, and this year she has been able to fill a role and fill that role very well, which is to be a consistent link in the midfield. The times they push her up to the 10 spot and Kim goes up to the 9 as a central forward, she's also been dangerous in front of the goal and a great 1-2 combination centrally in the box with Kim. But you're exactly right. A star that's been sort of hidden beneath the bushel a little bit because of the star power of Kim Little.
And the arrival this season, of course, of Sydney Leroux. And Sydney's had a solid season, maybe a little bit below what she would like just in terms of goal production with 5, but a lot of very impressive players for this Seattle squad this season.
I just like the confidence of their ball movement, how quickly they're moving the ball. Houston Dash has nothing to lose. You saw them earlier, and probably one of the things that Coach Waldron said is Haley Koppmeyer's in goal. She's only played 3 games. Put pressure on her, back passes. If we have numbers in, you go, you run at her, and you saw them doing that. And Reign were lucky to defend that, get out of the pressure, and possess the ball again.
Melissa Henderson, who played for Randy Waldrum at Notre Dame. Good ball to Ojai.
Kaylee Ojai out of North Carolina, a U20 national team World Cup winner 2 years back, is crafty, she's fast, she's a hard worker, and just a great kid. My associate head coach, Amy Griffin, at the University of Washington, was part of that U20 staff, and when I asked her about Kaylee, she just has nothing but great things to say about her work rate, her personality on the field, off the field, and what a great teammate she is.
Well, we saw her break down a very good defender in Kendall Fletcher and serve in a dangerous ball that Henderson couldn't quite get to. That was the best build-up for Houston so far in the match. We are in the 11th minute, just going into the 12th minute here at Memorial Stadium, Moda Health pitch at Seattle Center. If you're watching from outside the area and you're not familiar with this facility, it's really just about a 2-minute walk from the Space Needle. A little hub of activity here in the Emerald City. Henninger. Fishlock will settle. The back line of Seattle's has been outstanding this season. We mentioned earlier the Reign, the top scoring team in the league, 45 goals. Well, they're also the stingiest defense in the league with 17 goals allowed. And this is a stat, Leslie, that'll give everyone an idea just how dominant Seattle's been. Goal differential for Seattle, plus 28. The next best in the league, Kansas City, at plus 7.
Yeah.
That's quite a disparity.
Yeah, it's a true testament to how this team has improved so much on both sides of the ball.
Dahlstrom with the volley. Boy, she did a terrific job setting herself up. Didn't get the finish she was looking for.
And no, she did not. The best part is to look down at the bench when that happened. Dave, as they call her, she's super serious. She gets feisty in training, and she's just a fun player to be around in that she, she's just one of those players. She's super ultra competitive.
Yeah.
And, when something like that happens, I think it's just fun for her teammates to have a giggle because that definitely
and watch
wasn't
her
the
reaction.
No,
it's true. You see her in training when she makes a mistake. There's nobody harder on anybody than Kirsten Dahlstrom on herself.
Yeah, there's no doubt. She is hard on herself.
McCarty. Oh, Koppmeyer coming out. Henderson, no. McCarty, no. Headed off the line by Lauren Barnes. Terrific defense by Barnes as she literally had Haley Koppmeyer's back.
Yeah, and the first one that Haley came out for, that was a 50-50 ball. She could have done a little bit better to get it away further, but outstanding defense by Ellie Reed and Lou Barnes to drop in behind the keeper on the line for the header that they were able to clear. Outstanding defense, and you can see how much pride this Reign team takes in their defending.
The biggest threat to break through in this first half so far right there by the Dash. Now Seattle looking to counter back. Bev Goebel in a foot race. She will not win it against Marissa Diggs as Diggs plays it back to Henninger.
A little bit of end-to-end action here, fun to see. And again, I told you, Randy Waldron's teams, they're going to come out, they're going to play with pride, they're all going to play for, obviously, the right to continue to be on this team the next year and to earn more playing time in their last few matches.
Bev Goebel trying to take a ball away from the Houston defender that time. Instead, the foul goes against Goebel. A free kick for the Dash. That was Marissa Diggs. Fishlock getting ahead to it. Edwards. Back to Diggs. And look at Dahlstream really hustle and put some pressure on it. It leads to a turnover. Fishlock to Kim Little, back to Fishlock. And when Seattle's really going well offensively, quite often you'll see that combination, Fishlock and Little.
Fishlock, Little out wide to Steph Cox, who is up even with the forward line from her left back position. A lot of 1 and 2 touch passing. You know, the one thing you could say about Kirsten Dahlstrom is usually possession isn't necessarily her gig. That's a bad giveaway there. I don't think Fishlock even saw that that Fletcher wanted to play the ball to her. Let's see if they can thwart this opportunity.
Kiki Toulouse.
Good recover by Steph. But what I was about to say is when you see the rhythm of play and the speed of play in the front half increase, a lot of 1 and 2 touch passing, a lot of switching at the point of attack and runs in behind players to penetrate have really, you know, you're exactly right. That's when the rain is going well, is when they play that way 35, 40 yards out from the goal.
Throw in coming up for the Rain. Cox will take it.
And the thing, you know, to be honest about right now, you have to credit Houston. With possession, which, you know, I don't know what the percentage is right now. It's definitely in Seattle's favor. They've definitely had the ball in the front half enough. They really haven't forced Bianca Henninger to make a save. They really haven't had a great opportunity or a chance on goal, and that's what they, with all the possession, want to see take place.
There's a really nice give and go that time. Cox to Dahlstream, back to Cox, who was trying to make the connection with Little, couldn't. Here's Keelan Winters. She chips it forward. Dahlstream battling
She's not
Romero.
Down from a challenge. Great shoulder challenge by Dave.
Goebel inside, and right there, Henninger, the first real threat she's had in that 6-yard box. Not only dealing with a shot, but dealing with the sun. Henderson to Kaylin Kyle. Up ahead, Ojai trying to settle the ball. Gets double teamed defensively as Ellie Reed comes to the assistance of Kendall Fletcher.
And the thing I'd say is that the Dash, they're getting some good 1v1 opportunities. And, you know, Melissa Henderson, Kalia Ojai, they're going to take on, they're going to go at you. And the patience of the Seattle Reign defenders is what's going to be their friend. If they start diving in and running out and charging out too quickly and not waiting for a second defender to come or their outside backs to collapse in and come back, they're gonna give away an opportunity they don't want to give away. But they've been very patient in and around the top of the box. It's good to see.
Kyle, nice move right there. Finds Kika Toulouse, who drops it back to Whitney Engen. Seattle really putting some pressure on that Houston back line. Trying to force a bad pass or turnover. It will be a throw in for Seattle. Kawasumi not on the same page that time with Dahlstream.
This is the best part, is to watch Dahlstream's body language.
Saw her.
I don't know why it makes me laugh, just because of her personality. Again, you think she's angry. She's not really angry. She really is hard on herself. If something happens where she thought she should have done something differently, she just, you know, you don't want to be like within 5 yards of her. Just
you have to love the expectations she has for herself,
she
right?
She scares you a little bit.
You know she will compete. She'll give you everything she has. Here's Ojai with a drop, but taken away by Little.
I'm calling a Dahlstrom goal tonight.
She would love to break through. Kirsten Dahlstream has an assist this season, but does not have a goal. Stephanie Cox. Goebel trying to make the turn. She goes down. Good defense by Houston. Kika Toulouse. Kaylin Kyle.
Little possession in the front half for the Dash now. Moving the ball from side to side.
Good anticipation by Cox, but she sends it over the touchline for a Houston throw in. Little with a header and some room for Seattle to operate with Fishlock on the ball.
We've got a challenge from the booth on who's going to get a goal for the Reign.
Ahead to Kawasumi, the call in the booth. Was it Kim Little?
No, it's Kawasumi.
Kawasumi.
We'll see. We'll take a goal from anybody.
Remember, no gambling.
Yeah, there is no gambling.
Goal kick coming up for Houston. This team's meeting for the third and final time this season. The first get-together right here at Memorial Stadium. That was back on April 27th, a 2-0 Reign victory. Kim Little with both goals in that game. In the 19th and 38th minute, that first goal was a penalty kick. And then in Houston on July 30th, 4-1, the Seattle victory. A goal in the second minute by Sydney LaRue really got Seattle going. Little scoring in the 25th minute, Rapinoe in the 48th, and then Little again in the 78th minute. Ojai scoring for Houston in the 55th minute.
You know, just the little things, no pun intended. I didn't even mean to say that on purpose. But Kim Little, when you watch her, she came out of the midfield there, head passed the ball to herself, was a little bit too far, but she still went and pressed the ball, pressed the keeper. But just the nuances of making it really predictable for where Bianca Henniger had to play the ball. Keelan Winters reads it, steps in, wins it in the midfield again. You know, those are just things as college players, as youth players that you want to pay attention to. You know, your role as a forward, your role as a midfielder might be different defensively than a backline player, but you have a role. And when you do the little things right, it makes a huge difference for your team.
Romero with a throw in for Houston.
I'm going to see how many cliches I can throw out tonight, Tom. Start counting.
And Romero not on the same page with Henderson right there, or McCarty. Fishlock, nice recognition, finding an open Kawasumi. Trying to read the field, and she'll come near touchline to Ellie Reed.
Very comfortable playing the ball around the back. Forwards have to make a decision. Do they pop off of Keelan Winters and let him go around the back, or do they try to press on their back line and leave Keelan open to link? The shape of the Reign, if you look at their shape right now and their spacing, it's tough to defend them. They spread out so well and they're so comfortable on the ball that you can't go charging in for fear you'll get dribble past.
Kawasumi receiving the pass from Little, now going back to Little. Tried to volley that one in, well defended though by Romero.
Good patience, good composure, and great ball by Naho.
Kawasumi, nifty move there. The cross, Winters with a header.
Keelan Winters.
And she will not be happy with that. Wide open and perfectly served by Kawasumi.
And to be fair to Keelan, the sun is a little bit brutal right there. So she knew where the ball was. She timed it well. The only thing she didn't do is just head it back across the goal. Turned her head a little bit and kept it going the other direction. That's a ball that Keelan would normally bury.
Leslie, and it seems like there's been an awful lot of room for Kawasumi to operate with. Her teammates are doing a good job of finding her.
Yeah.
Nice touch by Dahlstream to Cox. Henderson with a defense.
If you're handing out report cards right now and you're Laura Harvey and you're looking at this game, you know, 22 plus minutes in, and if what she was saying to me before the game is the message to the team is to be true to themselves, rest some players, but play the kind of soccer we want to play, I think she'd have to give her team an above average grade for sure.
Yeah, I think so. Absolutely. They haven't got the finish they're looking for up to this point in the final third, but in terms of possession, moving the ball, looking crisp.
Well, and really not giving up a soft goal with their non-starting goalkeeper in, and some opportunities for the Dash with some very dangerous attacking players. A ball saved off the line. You know, they've defended pretty well. MLS All-Star game going on south of us tonight down in Portland. And so you can watch the All-Star game on TV and still watch this live stream. So you can do two things at once.
And you are a multitasker, so you would know. 5 Seattle Sounders, part of that MLS All-Star squad, taking on Bayern and Munich out of the German Bundesliga. And fouled from behind. That was McCarty taking down Jess Fishlock. And I'm sure those Seattle players were warmly greeted during introductions tonight by those Portland fans.
With a chainsaw.
Maybe they surprised us. Maybe Dempsey and Yedlin and Marshall and Martins. Maybe they all got a nice round of applause.
I'm not going to bank on it.
Ozzy Alonso, the 5th Sounder All-Star in uniform tonight down in the Rose City. Kawasumi.
One of the things that Naho does so well, she really stretches the field from sideline to sideline. It allows Ellie Reed to go inside. She's outside. When Naho goes inside, Ellie comes outside, and they always, between the two of them, provide width for their team.
Fishlock.
And you think of a traditional winger in a 3-front would have to do a ton of running. Her running is just efficient. It's smart. She gets out wide. She gets the ball. She either carries it inside and takes on, or she'll take them down the line or whip across them. But she really is just great at making space for herself. The other thing is, I think defenders in this league have learned to respect her. They don't really, try to tackle her right when she gets the ball because she's so crafty with it. They try to be patient. So she sometimes has a lot of time on the ball for that reason.
Engen up ahead to Edwards. Here's Ojai.
And to be fair to Kaylee Ojai, she really has come into her own, has developed into a great pro player in her rookie season. She started the season with a pretty bad ankle injury and had to nurse that for a while before she got to play much. But she's definitely, if she stays on the Houston Dash, she's the future of this franchise. She's quality.
4 goals, 1 assist this season for Ojai, the former North Carolina Tar Heel. And obviously a lot of those alums in the NWSL. Kendall Fletcher, former Tar Heel as well on that Seattle back line. Edwards with the drop back to Engen. Here's Diggs.
I think who did get a big round of applause is Julian Green, who just entered the game for Bayern Munich.
Member of the U.S. national team, a teen sensation. Of course, the U20s, U20 World Cup north of the border up in Canada, that is underway.
It is. Coach Michelle French, they had their first game yesterday. We're on the short end of the stick and a loss to a very good German side, 2-0. And with that said, created plenty of opportunities, just couldn't convert. And I know that Frenchie, she'll get them going. They've got a game coming up against a Brazil team that looked dangerous, to be honest. They gave up a late goal against China to draw yesterday, 1-1. But it's, they've got some fast, speedy forwards and they're going to have to deal with. But I think if the U.S., on the back of Lindsey Horan, who plays at Paris Saint-Germain, young player out of Colorado, if they can get on her back and get her scoring goals and get her in front of the goal, I think they're going to be just fine going through the round games.
For those of you not familiar with Michelle French, is that Houston Fowls committed by Stephanie Oakes, a local product, played collegiately at the University of Portland, an outstanding youth coach for many years in the area and still calls Seattle home. Fishlock getting a foot on that one, but couldn't quite control it. I believe that pass was from Stephanie Cox. 28th minute here in Seattle. Despite the fact that scoreless, very entertaining match between these clubs at different ends of the spectrum in the NWSL. Seattle in first place. That is wrapped up. They will have home field advantage through the playoffs, the semifinals, and if they advance to the championship match, the home field as well for Houston in 8th place in the 9-team league, the expansion team that came in this season. And came back to Coach Waldron saying, when you look at the big picture, he's really pleased with this first season. He goes, obviously you want to win more, but considering the injuries they've dealt with, Bach and Sesselman, he feels like with the exception of maybe 2 games this season, Leslie, his team has played hard, very competitive, and this is going to pay off for them.
And again,
forward.
If we remember all those 1-goal losses that the Reign had last year, it's almost mirror image.
And they've had some of those. Houston's had a good amount of those this season.
And that's all you want as a coach is, you're going to battle different circumstances, but you want your team to show up and compete in training every day and compete in matches. And if Randy's happy with that, then that's a great place for this franchise to jump off and, again, take a page out of Seattle's book, build their roster up a little bit for next season, and get after it in year 2.
Kawasumi. Good switch over to Stephanie Cox. Winners. Looking for Kim Little. Very nice ball by Keelan Winters. Let's see what Little can do with it. Into the box. Looking for Bev Goebel. Nice job by Dahlstream. And Henninger gobbles it up for the Dash. Again, good, strong, quality buildup by Seattle.
Yeah, it's the final piece that's missing. And again, credit Houston Dash. They haven't given them a clean look, but I think they do need to focus a little bit more on keeping the ball on the ground, either getting around on the outside and playing a ball for a tap in on the ground, or the balls that come out to them, trying to figure out how to clear that space to get a cleaner shot off, and being a little bit quicker to think about where their shot's going to come from.
Unforced error that time by the Reign. Oaks with a throw in, looking for Ojai. McCarty.
Someone on the internet, Carl Kuntz, has asked Carl Dürmeister on Twitter where Kaylin Kyle is from. She is from Saskatoon. She's a Canuck, and she played college soccer in Canada. Long-time stalwart of the Canadian national team.
Becky Edwards heading it back. And the Dash will reset. Here's Engen.
So it'll be interesting to see what Laura does as this game rolls on. If there's no goal, if it stays knotted at zeros, if she wants to give someone else time, who that is, if they add some kind of punch up front and give another player an opportunity if they don't feel like they're seeing what they want. As we've talked about, I don't think it'll be LaRue. I don't think it'll be Rapinoe. We haven't seen a ton of Danielle Foxhoven this season. We've seen an okay amount, but Danielle Foxhoven to me would be a great option. Yeah. As a player that would be good to get minutes for in the forward position. She holds the ball well. She's a good finisher.
Well, it's the luxury of the position they're in that you can give players some quality minutes going down the stretch of these final 3 games, and should injury necessitate, maybe getting some minutes in the postseason that you wouldn't bank on. You know, playing late, you have a little more comfort level with your teammates in game action, which, you know, to some degrees kind of hard to replicate in a practice situation.
Right, no doubt.
Here's
and at this point in the season, and Laura Hardy, that's an outstanding ball.
Kawasumi onside.
All right,
Kawasumi.
All right, bootstrapper.
Goal, Seattle.
What an outstanding ball, first of all. And great composure. Bianca Henniger, I think, did about as best she could. Naho put it up in the air a little bit, but what you see right now is owner Bill Predmore making a little heart to his son Henry, because his son, his little his 4-year-old son, is in love with Naho.
Well, at first that deflection, it was difficult to see if it was actually in the goal or side netted, but Kawasumi just had so much pace on that.
Yeah, it hit her hard in the chest. It wasn't the place she really necessarily wanted to put it. And the only thing I'd say that Bianca Henniger could have done better was to sort of just stay upright and let it hit her. She fell back a little bit, and, but at the end of the day, that's a quality finish from Naho.
And for Naho, her 8th goal on the season. That is second best on this Reign squad, behind the league leading 14 of Kim Little. So 8 goals, 4 assists for Nahomi Kawasumi, and the Reign with a 1-0 lead.
And I have not heard the bootstrapper brag in my ear yet.
That's right.
There we go.
The call was made.
I still have faith in you, Dave.
He could have gone even out further on the limb by calling for a Kim Little goal. I mean, it wasn't a big reach.
I went out on a limb.
You made a little bit more of a difficult call there in Dahl Street.
Husky coach calling for the Coug to get one.
That's impressive.
It is impressive. Give me some credit, boys. She may still get one.
And let's see how Houston responds. And the Dash have had some opportunities here in the first half. And Kaylin Kyle taking her former teammate down and getting a bit of a talking to from referee Michael Zapata.
Surprised it's not a card. A lot of talking, just card her and be done with it. Cardable, whether they're friends or not.
Fishlock, Kawasumi, is she onside? She is. Kawasumi, a goal for Seattle. Nahomi Kawasumi scoring 2 minutes apart, and it's a 2-0 Seattle lead.
So Kim Little again finds, just a little deft tap ball over the top, on the bounce, volley by Naho, catches Bianca Henniger out. And this is, it was Fishlock with the pass, actually, not Little. Deft little pass, great timing by Naho. Inside of the foot volley, picks out her spot. Henniger in no man's land, nothing to be done about it.
Now, hard to tell if we can see that angle again. I mean, Houston claiming that Naho was offside. You can't tell
from that angle,
point.
you can't tell. I think it was timed pretty well. I'm just going to say it was. Here we go. Bootstrapper on it. Well, you know.
You know, it wasn't the perfect shot, a very good shot by the guys and gals, but that would give you the indication that she may have been a step offside.
Maybe just a skosh. Still a nice goal, Tom.
Well, the bottom line is it counts, and for Kawasumi, that's goal number 9 on the season.
Did we say Kim Little was going to be the hands-down MVP? I would say they have 2 MVP types on their team. Naho Kawasumi has been unbelievable this year. She's bagged a lot of goals. She's been, very, very involved in a lot of their success.
And Naho, a player that...
If they give a co, I'd go with her.
Naho, a player that began the season, and granted it was game 1, but she was on the bench as Megan Rapinoe got the start. Megan goes down with the injury, and Seattle really doesn't miss much of a beat. Dahlstrom, is she onside? She's off.
Yeah, Coach Waldron not so happy. Now he's staring down the AR. He got the call that time.
And you can certainly understand his frustration. There's a huge difference between 1-0 and 2-0 as you get ready to play the final 10 minutes of the first half. And all in all, despite that 1 goal deficit, you feel pretty good about the way your club has played. At least I assume he did at that point.
I mean,
now
that's tough to take.
A tough hole on the road to dig out.
Late, take 2 a little bit late in the half, and then it becomes a different animal for him as far as what he does with his players, how he asks them to play. Does he give some players that haven't had many minutes at all time? How does he go about the next half?
Winners. Barnes ahead to Cox.
Outstanding touch by Stephanie Cox.
And here's Fishlock with room. And Little with even more room. And Kawasumi again in the 18. Goebel could not make contact with it, but again, a well-served ball by Nahomi Kawasumi.
A lot of these international players in Seattle, it was a very good ball, and it was a good ball by Fishlock, and it was a good effort by Bev to try to get on the end of it. But more importantly, when you said Fishlock with room, the women on this team are very, they like coffee. And when they first got here last year, a lot of them, Fishlock included, and some of the other players that were new to town, were all looking for the hip, best coffee spots. And so when you said Fishlock with room, maybe we can find a coffee house that would name a latte after. Fishlock with room?
I like that. I like that.
I'm gonna lobby for it.
You'll need to come up with the exact flavor combination. Yeah. Here's Dahlstrom looking for Little and deflected away. It looked like that time it was Diggs that made contact with it, and that may have prevented a third Seattle goal here in the first half. Because Little was in stride and in position to score if she could have received that ball. Kawasumi battling with Ojai, and Ojai wins that time. And a nice switch that time by Kaylin Kyle. Romero losing the ball to Winners. Keelan Winners.
Great job by Keelan to ride the tackle there. She's going to cut this one back to Bev. This is going to be the 3rd goal for the Reign. Ooh! Now
Bev, a little unselfish, maybe too unselfish that time as she tried to drop it to Kim Little.
Yeah, it was outstanding. Rode 2 tackles to get through. Keelan does a great job of putting that ball back into a passing channel, a seam, if you will, for Bev. It was maybe just a little bit behind her as she was running forward to be able to hit it first time, which I thought she could. And then an okay job of defending by the Houston Dash for her to have to play it back, and then Kim Little defended. So no free shot there. Good job by the Dash to thwart a 3rd goal going in before half.
Kawasumi and Goebel. A miscommunication there. They give each other the thumbs up. I think meaning each takes a little bit of responsibility for what didn't work on that combination. Here's McCarty. Deflected away by Fishlock, and Winners with possession out to Stephanie Cox. Kawasumi again with room to operate. Goebel onside. Goebel with the move and the 3rd goal in the first half. Bev Goebel making it look easy as she scores for the 5th time this season. It comes in the 39th minute. So Seattle with goals in the 32nd, 34th, and 39th minute.
And what you can see there is just really, really tough. This little slotted ball, she runs one way, hits it against the grain in between the defenders, and what's outstanding about that goal is watch Bev Goebel's first touch. She just opens up her body, gets it on her far foot, Bianca Henninger, again, just makes her sit down. She dribbles her with just a little shoulder shimmy, gets it off to the left, and slots it home. Tough to do anything about that.
And while you were watching the replay, the dash coming together for a quick
powwow
team meeting and saying, hey, let's play with some heart here in these last few minutes. Let's not go into the locker room down 4-0. Let's continue to battle here.
Well, the thing that you see, and again, this is not discrediting the Houston Dash at all. It's more crediting the firepower and the ability of the Seattle Reign to click on all cylinders regardless of the 11 they have on the pitch, as well as just being confident on the ball and unselfish. The unselfish movement off the ball to free up space for other players, the unselfish with the ball to pass and give someone that maybe has a better shot the opportunity to finish a more likely goal. And that's what you're seeing from this group right now.
And now the challenge for Seattle at this point, not to relax, not to take the foot off the gas pedal. What a terrific ball to Dahlstrom, the left foot, side netting. Very close to a 4th goal in the first half for the Reign.
Yeah. I still have faith, Dave. It's going to happen. Keep after it.
You saw the pace, you saw the speed of Kirsten Dahlstrom.
You can hear Randy Waldrum again talking to the AR that she's offside. They're playing a line that's trying to hold there, and they don't want to give Seattle too much space. And he's showing a little bit of frustration at the AR in her calls.
Of course, Randy, just such an exceptional collegiate career. 24 seasons between Tulsa, Baylor, and of course, his final stop, Notre Dame Fishlock, with a touch back to Goebel. Left-footed shot, Henninger there, relatively easy save for her. 8 NCAA semifinals for Randy Waldrum, 5 championship games, 2 national titles. Such an impressive resume, and now the next challenge will be trying to build this Houston club into a championship contender sooner rather than later.
And I have a lot of confidence that he will. Again, the ownership, the backing of an MLS club, and Chris Canetti, he just has great things to say. When you talk to Randy about his collegiate career, coaching with the under-23 national team, he's done a lot of different things in his career, being a coach of a pro team. Back down in the South, where he's closer to being from, I think, and he picked a great time to go. And a great opportunity with a great franchise. And when you talk to him about it, it was just that point in time in his career. Tough for a lot of college coaches to look at those type of opportunities because this is the 3rd go-around for the league.
Yeah.
And it's not like you're going to be, living that large coaching period.
You mean he didn't run out and buy a Ferrari?
He might have. From his money he got from Notre Dame. But in all seriousness, Randy is an outstanding coach, and what a great thing for him to be able to take the next step in his coaching career. And I'm really confident that he's going to do great things with this franchise, and I know the Houston Dash are confident that they've hired the right man for the job. Native
of Irving, Texas, happy to be back home in the Lone Star State. 43rd minute here in Seattle. It was scoreless until the 32nd minute. Then Naho Kawasumi scoring. 2 minutes later, she did it again. And then 5 minutes after that, Bev Goebel putting one home in Seattle with the 3-0 lead. Reign will play their final home game on Saturday. That'll be against Washington. 7 o'clock kickoff. And they'll finish the regular season at Portland on Sunday the 17th. Ojai, defended by Fishlock. Here's Oakes. And not on the same page that time with Henderson.
And that's where things change a little bit. The Dash did have some opportunity. Houston was holding the ball a little bit better in the front half, combining a little bit better. And now what happens when you're down 2-0 or 3-0? You want to get to halftime and just kind of stop the bleeding and get your legs back and rest and make any changes that you need to make. What you don't want to do is just start going forward sort of willy-nilly and losing the ball like they just did. Yes, Tom, the ever-popular phrase willy-nilly. Threw it in there.
You write that one down. I want to have that always on standby.
Yeah. On permanent hold would probably be best.
Here's Fishlock.
Want to send a little congrats out to one of my players who is currently competing with the under-20 national team of Mexico, Amanda Perez, sister of former Husky and current Washington Spirit player Veronica Perez. They had a draw, 1-1 today with Nigeria in their opening game, which is not a bad result at all. And I didn't get to see much of it because we had training, but we miss you, Amanda, and we're super happy that that your team has got a point today, and we hope you get through to the next round.
So apparently you have a pipeline into that Perez household. There is one more coming. See, I knew you would know.
We're not going to disclose her age or location. And she's good, I'll say that too.
Goebel. Kawasumi. Very nice control, and you see how strong she is on the ball. Fishlock playing it back to Kendall Fletchers. We're in the 45th minute. I think we'll get much added time here, maybe a minute or two.
And even, I don't know, maybe more so than substitutions. If I'm Laura Harvey and you go into halftime with a 3-0 lead, isn't necessarily making personnel changes, which is very possible that she might, but maybe making adjustments in the scenarios she creates for them, putting some kind of challenge to them to maybe full bore press for 10 minutes like they were down a goal, or possibly to possess the ball and play keep away, you know, as they should when they're up this much. Maybe pretend like it's later in the game than it is. I don't know. She might give them some tactical things to start to think about, or real specifics. But then again, this team, when they're firing on all cylinders like this, the instinct will be just to let them rip.
1 minute of added time. Cardi trying to create for Houston, and well defended by Stephanie Cox. At this point, Seattle well on its way to a 16th victory this season, as we have reached halftime at Memorial Stadium here in Seattle. Moda Health pitch. Naomi Kawasumi with 2 goals in the first half in the 32nd and 34th minute, and Bev Goebel with the 3rd goal coming in the 39th minute. A 3-0 Seattle lead here at intermissions. Not much to complain about from a Seattle perspective, and Laura Harvey, as she walks off, you see her on the right side of your screen with her right arm around Megan Rapinoe and the left arm around Sydney Leroux, maybe just reinforcing, ladies, you will not be playing at all here in the second half.
Or telling them,
and maybe they're saying, please just give us 10 minutes.
Yeah, but it'd be interesting to know what that conversation is about. If I were a betting person, it has nothing to do with soccer.
Probably.
Maybe it does. I'm just teasing. I don't know.
So Kaylin Kyle, the former Reign player, walking off with Bianca Henninger, who got the start in goal tonight in place of Erin McLeod. And once she really started getting tested, she had some challenges.
She did have some challenges. The first goal from Naho was maybe one that she could have stopped. It was hit hard, but she fell back a little bit and it ricocheted in the goal. She needed to be bigger, stay big, and come forward towards the ball and just take the hit, you know, as best she could, so the ball could ricochet forward. The others, you know, those final passes, those slip passes in between the defenders where she was one-on-one. I mean, if you can read those and get out and get to the feet of the forward as quickly as you can on a breakaway type move, fine. But the chip and the volley over the top while she's standing in no man's land, that's just an absolutely deft finish by Naho. And then the little dribbled pass and slot by Bev, outstanding.
And I think from the Houston perspective and Henninger's perspective on that second goal, there may be some slight solace in the fact that it did appear to be an offside call that was not made. But Seattle's not going to give it back, and they should not. Those things sometimes work in your favor, and sometimes they don't. We're going to take a brief break here in Seattle. We will rejoin you, and when we do, we'll talk with Leslie about a big first day for her University of Washington program as fall camp in summer weather got underway today, not only for the Huskies but throughout college soccer. Stick around. That's coming up. Again, our score here at halftime, Seattle 3, Houston 0. 1-0, the Seattle Reign over the Houston Dash at halftime. Great to have you with us, along with Leslie Gallimore, the head coach at the University of Washington. I'm Tom Glasgow. Before we get the second half underway and talk more about the NWSL, we want to talk with Leslie about a very big day for her, and really all of college soccer, as fall camps get underway in the heat of August. So 2-a-days for you right out of the gate. How'd it go?
Yeah, Monday the football team came back, and that's always a big brouhaha around campus. But the real football team showed up today, and our men's football team shows up next Tuesday. Always exciting, you know. I feel like it's my first year, and it's my 21st at the UW, and so excited to see 7 new freshmen and our returning players after an outstanding offseason where I felt like we gained a lot of momentum from a season that was a little bit disappointing last year. So we had a fun day today, played some small-sided games, got the cobwebs out, got them used to playing with one another again, and they're all here at the game tonight. So fun day for the Dogs.
Tell us about the Pac-12 this season. How's it shape up? And
shapes up to be as tough as it ever is. You know, the preseason polls have not come out. Doesn't really matter where you fall in that, because every game is a tough game. There's no gimmies. I think last year was the best from the top to bottom that I've seen the Pac-12, and there were a lot of people in the hunt late. We were one of them, and we dropped off, and we were disappointed about that. You have to look at UCLA, who literally graduated not one starting player, I don't think. And I've worked with a lot of those players in the U23 national team. Amy and I have, and they're solid. They're going to be a tough team to beat, but they've got the target on their back. University of Virginia is another team that brings a lot of players back and adds some great players. Stanford's always a force to be reckoned with, but you know, it's a one game at a time mentality. You just try to go out and get the first one, which is what we'll do at home against Kentucky on the 22nd.
First game, August 22nd, the Wildcats of Kentucky here.
Big Blue Nation is coming to Seattle to take on Big Purple Nation.
Look forward to that. Leslie Gallimore and her Huskies just, I guess we're 2.5 weeks away from things getting underway, so we look forward to that.
Thanks, Tom.
Let's take a look at the first half scoring, and for the Seattle Reign, it came in bunches, and it started in the 32nd minute. Naomi Kawasumi, and you see the patience on the ball in the box as she sized up Bianca Henniger, Leslie, and really took a very effective shot.
Yeah,
there.
and I unfairly to Bianca said she was going back. I think she was trying to play the shot that Naho would hit in that situation, which is the low far post shot. Here she just gets caught in no man's land. At this point, the defense you just see there's no pressure on the ball, and the defense is really spread out. And Jess Fishlock just taps the ball over the top, and Naho finishes it on a nice little volley over Henninger's head.
And that was the goal that Houston certainly, I think, had a legitimate argument regarding offside. But on this one, it was just terrific execution. And again, you just love the patience in the box. And this is Bev Goebel finishing it
And
off.
again, you cannot give Naho Kawasumi that kind of room to play that kind of ball. There has to be some kind of pressure and tackle. And she absolutely just, you know, laid a great ball into Bev's far foot. She took a perfect first touch, dribbled the keeper, and slotted it home. The Houston Dash, they started out the game playing a little bit better defensively and not giving so much room to the Seattle players. But at the end of the day, all 3 of their goals came with very little pressure being applied to the ball.
Kawasumi scoring in the 32nd, 34th minute, Bev Goebel in the 39th minute for the Seattle Reign, who are well on their way to a 16th victory and 53 points entering play tonight, a 12-point advantage over Kansas City. And the Reign, of course, already wrapping up the regular season crown and the home field advantage through the playoffs, and that would include if they advance to the NWSL championship game. Jordan Jackson, number 8, has come on to start this second half for the Dash. Jackson out of Nebraska, 4th round selection in the most recent NWSL draft. 2 goals and assists this season. See if we can pick up any other substitutions to get things going for Seattle. Just glancing quickly across the field, looks like they are the same 11 that began this match. And here's Bev Goebel.
Good job by Kirsten Dahlstrom to come back and win that ball back. You can tell she's hungry. You can tell she's itching to get on the board. I'm keeping the faith.
Stephanie Cox. Kim Little. A little strong on that touch, but Kawasumi will have a chance to track it down.
And even right now, I don't know, 3-0. 1 change at halftime. It's just tough. It's a tough hill to climb for Houston on the road against the league leading, the Shield winning Seattle Reign. and the rain come right out of the gates, kind of having their way with them already.
Winters was trying to connect with the head of Goebel, a little high with the pass. Kim Little defended by Kaylin Kyle. Cox headed out of danger by Houston. Here's Fishlock. Seattle starting the second half really with relentless pressure against that Houston defense. Reed headed away by Diggs. We've also had number 24 Kelly McFarland come on for Houston, a former University of North Carolina player.
And very good friends of ours. Mary Lou McFarland works for a company called Sports Board. They do like a recruiting kind of database thing for your iPad. So when you're out recruiting, and they're out of Northern California, and we saw them here this evening, and they've been tremendous to us and done a lot of great things for soccer. So it's fun for them to come to Seattle and be able to see their daughter get in and play.
And Dahlstrom with a good idea that time, looking for Little, and again that reaction you talk about from Kirsten Dahlstrom. McCarty, as a Seattle defender, went down and injured, and that looks like Kendall Fletcher, and I don't know if we'll have a replay of that. It was interesting because Kendall went down and it looked like she attempted to get up but could not fully get up, but nice to see her back on her feet.
Yeah.
So you see her back going down right there. That created a 2-on-1 opportunity for Houston. She goes up and then went down again.
Yeah, that I guarantee you Laura Harvey's going to clip out and show multiple times in the team room, particularly if they don't take a goal.
So you're saying that was pratfall.
That's called the turf monster.
I believe that's the first corner kick we've seen from the dash this evening. Now a throw in for Houston. And McFarland will come over to handle the throw in. A hesitation by Seattle, but cleared out by Winters.
Yeah, Seattle started this half out on the front foot, getting forward, creating. Turf Monster got the best of Fletch, and again, that'll be replayed a few different times.
On both occasions?
Both occasions.
Turf got her two times in a row?
I think that's gonna be replayed. Only when you win, if they win. I think if this game turns around and something else happens, you don't really dwell on that. That goes in the team highlight video at the end of the season.
Here's Ellie Reed.
I guarantee you she knows it's coming back.
Looking for Kawasumi offside. Call the rain, or the dash would have appreciated on that second goal tonight by Kawasumi, who with the 2 goals is up to 9 on the season. Goebel with her goal now has 5.
I was gonna mention it, but I thought I wouldn't. I don't want to make Randy Waldrum feel worse than he already feels after the first half with the no call that kind of started the chain of events that ensued after that.
By the way, we need to give some credit to the assists in the first half. Kawasumi not only with the 2 goals, but she added to her assist total, which is now at 5. Little with an assist, and Jess Fishlock assisting as well tonight.
Yeah, and somebody on Twitter called for they just wanted a Naho brace, and they have that so far. Maybe they want a Naho hat trick. But it will be interesting to see what Laura does. You know, she clearly has monitored the minutes of her players. She's clearly looked at different combinations of players on the field that she wants to see playing in and around each other. Kim Little probably, and Jess Fishlock secondly, maybe Keelan Winters are probably the 3 least rested players on this team, I would guess. Lauren Barnes, we know, suffered an injury and was out for a few games in the middle of the season. Fletcher has not rested much. But it's, you know, I'm going to go with Harves knows what she's doing.
Yeah. Well, in terms of LaRue and Solo and Rapinoe tonight, that wasn't only taking into consideration the rain, but the national team, I think it's the 20th with a match against Switzerland. And Laura was telling me, you know, I have to approach it as if, I don't know if they will, but she goes, I have to approach it as if they'll all play 90 minutes.
Right.
And so she's trying to plan that out on the 20th so they are as fresh as can be for semi-final play. and that is due on either August 23rd or 24th. NWSL championship game is on Sunday the 31st, and that is at noon. And both the semifinal games and the championship match will be carried on ESPN2, and great to have ESPN2 and the NWSL coming together during the course of this season.
What are you and I going to do during those games?
I guess we just get to be fans. I'm okay with that.
I know what I'm doing, Tom.
You'll be working. You'll
cheering. Yeah. I think when we are
you have that other job.
We are out of town for the semis, I believe. I have to check my calendar. I'm on a day-to-day basis here in my life.
I was just glad to see that you showed up this evening. You remembered us.
Yeah. I'm here.
Fishlock and Becky Edwards competing for that ball.
Again, after missing the 5-0 thumping of the Thorns, I'm surprised they had us back.
Well, they gave us another chance.
They did.
And look what's happened.
We're hanging on, 3-0. Yeah, and you see, the problems at the Seattle Reign. The way that they probe, the way that they move up front. When they are mobile up front in their top three, Kim Little spins off there and gets in behind. The dash has to drop, and then they come forward. And if they don't get pressure on the ball out of the midfield or on the wings, they have so many options to play balls forward and behind. And the dash they have not done a great job of handling it tonight. They've been facing their own goal multiple times. They've been too high up the field and got caught.
Fishlock with a foul, pleading her case. Fouled Kelly McFarland. Free kick coming up for the dash. These are opportunities that Houston certainly wants to try to take advantage of in this 3-0 hole, and not getting a tremendous amount of pressure on Haley Kottmeyer in goal tonight, although they did threaten early in this game, and it took a Lauren Barnes header off the line to prevent Houston from scoring first tonight. This is Romero. And that ball headed by Edwards, and good job by Becky Edwards to even do as well as she did, but it'll be a goal kick for Seattle.
And the AR's flag went up as well, and you saw Randy Waldron just kind of smile and throw a hand up as to say, really, on that? I'm not sure it was or not, but you can tell he's hanging on a little bit to the no calls in the first half.
Good look at Haley Kottmeyer.
Former University of Michigan Wolverine.
Now through 3.5 games in goal for the Reign, has allowed just 1 goal. Winners. Nice find to Stephanie Cox. That's a very good ball to Bev Goebel. To Little. Relatively quiet night for Kim, which speaks to the depth of this team up 3-0.
Well, and one of the things I was just about to say, they haven't really been able to get close to her either. A lot of teams have chosen to send 2-3 players to her. She's taken some physical punishment this year. And so, knock on wood for Coach Harvey, Kim's had a pretty physically, for her, easy go of it this evening.
And I would not be surprised if that's the first player subbed for, your apparent league MVP. Certainly don't want to risk injury in a 3-0 game. And here's Kim. Played for Laura Harvey with Arsenal in England, and that's the connection that got her here. A fairly good strike that time by Bev Goebel.
Again, that movement creates so much. A great run by Stephanie Cox to overlap there as Bev does a little hitch move inside. Defender bites like she's going to play it outside. She goes inside and gets a decent shot off that Henniger has to go down for and save.
Reed, terrific ball to Kawasumi.
And another terrific ball by Kawasumi to slice it back.
Dahlstrom was trying to chip ahead to Kim Little, did not make that connection.
Reign bench calling for a handball there. Referee ignoring.
Some of the statistics from the first half. Seattle had 5 shots on goal and just 1 for the dash. Seattle with 1 corner kick. Houston did not have one. Again, those are first half numbers.
Yeah, I think, number of goals versus shots on goal. They were 3 for 7. That's you're going to take that any day as a coach. We talked about early in the half that it took them a while to get anything on frame, and once they did, the floodgates open.
Ojai trying to create on Fletcher. Nice ball in the direction of Jordan Jackson, but Haley Kottmeyer was there first. Number 28 makes the save. Tiffany McCarty putting pressure on Fishlock.
And then Fishlock just doing what she does. Winning balls back, connecting her next pass. I really do think if you were to have to vote an unsung hero on this team this year, based on what she was to this team this year and what her role is this year, she's performed it beautifully. She's done it willingly, and you can tell she just she's a big leader on this team, along with Keelan Winters, along with Kim Little in the midfield. There are a lot of coaches that would give their right arm to have that threesome playing in the center of the park for them.
Last season, a member of the NWSL's first 11. In essence, the first team All-Stars squad, Jess Fishlock. Just get a good look at the Wales International.
People are starting to blow it up on Twitter, Tom, about ordering the Fishlock with room as a coffee drink around Seattle.
You're a trendsetter, I'm telling you.
Well, I don't know about that, but not any good trends anyway. But you said it, I just, ran with it. Well up by Fletch.
Boy, great anticipation that time by Keelan Winters. Had a full head of steam going, and boy, she had a terrific idea that time. But the dash with a defensive stop. Cox with the anticipation. Dahlstream. Goebel. Dahlstream with a left foot. Goebel!
Outstanding ball by Kirsten Dahlstream to play that bent back into the runner, right behind the back line. Had a great chance of going in, and I've been, regardless of what I've said, as far as just kind of teasing a little bit, Kirsten Dahlstrom's had a really good game tonight. She's kept the ball better than I've seen her. That was a really sharp, sophisticated pass she played in there that could have very well ended in a goal, and her work rate is second to none. She's really laid it out on the field tonight, and I've been ultra impressed with her.
Well, one of really the strength that she brings to this squad is the versatility. I mean, someone who could play on the back line and also the front line and brings such terrific pace to both positions. Here's Fishlock dancing out of trouble, and then Cox. Oh boy, that's one of the best passes we've seen tonight. If Kawasumi can get on the end of it, well defended by Stephanie Oakes until Kim Little took it away. Kawasumi back to Little.
The way her little feet just kind of dance, she jumps and moves and rides tackles and gets out of getting hit. What we see on the end over there, I mentioned Danielle Foxhoven. We got a pair of pilots on the end, and Megan Rapinoe is up and warming up. So whether we will see both of them or one of them or neither, yet to be seen. Laura Harvey sly with her substitutions typically and not ultra predictable, so we'll just hang on and wait and not try to make a prediction.
Well, I refer back to that little conversation that was taking place as Laura Harvey and Megan Rapinoe and Sydney LaRue, and we have no idea what they were saying as they walked off the field at the end of the first half, but maybe there was a bit of a plea for at least some minutes tonight from those two members of the U.S. national team, or maybe this is just an opportunity on the end line for Megan to get some work. Here's Goebel.
Dawn Scott, the fitness coach for the U.S., is here. And Megan hasn't played that many minutes for the Reign this year, and so there's a lot of people that are curious if she's resting, if she took another knock, or if it's just, no one knows exactly why she's not getting minutes tonight, but her turn to rest, I suppose. So maybe she's going to just do some, just keep moving down there and pick up a little bit of fitness and get some work in so she doesn't have to do it after the game.
Winters, good touch as Little gets a full head of steam moving forward and finds a wide open Dahlstream, sizing up in the left-footed shot just
and there you see the
wide
bench
left.
again, everyone standing up. Everyone on this team wants to see Dave score one, and what a great job by you see Kim Little, and you talk about this with players all the time going forward. She drives forward, their three backs collapse onto her, and just at the right moment she's got it close enough to her foot that they can't tackle her, and she plays it out wide to an open Kirsten Dahlstrom, who would like to have that one back and get it on frame.
Jackson with a good effort just inside the 18 as she took the pass from Ojai. Number 8, Jordan Jackson, the former Nebraska Cornhusker, seeking her 3rd goal this season. Cox, boy, I tell you what, Stephanie Cox has really been dialed in.
She has
tonight as well.
Yes.
Onside is Kim Little. 1v1. Little. The goal! Kim Little, number 15.
Houston Dash playing a high flat line with some of the best weapons in the league in the midfield and on the forward line. And I would like to get another look at that before I say anything. It was either very, very much offside, or Kim Little's got the most impeccable timing of any player. And that pass played her right into a space where Bianca Henniger had no chance.
63rd minute for Kim Little, her league-leading 15th goal, and a 4-0 Seattle lead. So 2
I don't know that we're
on the edge calls that have both gone against Houston here tonight.
And I don't know that we're going to get the replay to see that ball that was played, but I think Randy Waldrum just has resigned himself to not going to get that call tonight.
Nice tackle, sliding tackle that time by Jackson. Substitution coming on, number 19, Nina Berger, coming on for the Dash. And this is Houston's 3rd. Here's the replay. Well, I think that kind of says it all.
Yeah. Go, Twitter, go. But you were talking about Stephanie Cox before and how dialed in she is. And one of the things that I'd like to say to not just young players, but to college-age players as well, and even being in with the under-23s and the under-20 national team players, is that Stephanie Cox plays one of the best long balls in the game on a dime. And that's something in the women's game that few players can be that consistent with. But she is certainly one of them, and I think you tagged it exactly right, Tom. She's been dialed in.
So 4-0 Seattle here in the 65th minute. I'll give you the honors of introducing our special guest.
Well, here we go again. Had no idea, but the honor and pleasure of introducing the NWSL Commissioner, Cheryl Bailey, is in the house. We don't want to talk too much over Houston Dash getting an opportunity in the box, as you see Lauren Barnes defending it well and them trying to play out of pressure, and she does.
A very
to the one player that can get out of pressure like no other. Then nutmegs a player to get out of the midfield, and off go the rain.
Really impressive performance tonight. Certainly the benefit of 2 highly questionable calls that led directly to goals.
So, Cheryl, how are things? We could ask you about attendance. We could ask you about the upcoming playoff. We could ask you about the turnaround of the rain from worst to best in the last year.
Is that not a great story? And what a fabulous team. It's a joy to watch this team, Seattle Reign. They've put together an unbelievable group, and they're so well coached, and it's a joy to watch everything they bring.
You know, one of the things we talked about in the first half, Cheryl, was Randy Waldrum and what a great job he's done with the Dash and how it kind of mirrors Seattle last year in a lot of ways. He's kept a group together. They clearly come out to play as hard as they can every day. They had some injuries. They're missing pieces of the puzzle, but you can tell he has them together as a group and is explaining the development and the building of a club and has them looking forward and has them bought into him as a coach and the Houston Dash as a franchise. So I think there's really bright things in their future, and it's, you know, we hope to see more teams added like that.
Yeah, I think you're spot on, Leslie. I've noticed the same thing. You know, the teams in the bottom last year have been able to turn around to the top this year.
Yeah. What do you see for? Well, let's watch this free kick by Fishlock.
Good
saved
one,
by Henninger.
Saved, yep.
What do you see? What do you see going into the playoffs? Talk about the TV deal a little bit and what that means to the league.
Well, it's great when you have ESPN, you know, out there on ESPN2 and some of the other options that they provided. I think it's just wonderful for the exposure. We were, you know, excited to be able to have them as partners, household-wise. they've provided more to us this year. That's been just great for the sport.
Yeah, and so far the games that have been telecast, how has the viewership been? Has it met expectations? Has it been decent?
It's been good. It's been higher than what we had last year, and as I understand, it's higher than what the WPS had as well. So that certainly shows that growth that you're hoping for with the women's game.
And so you hear Megan Rapinoe coming in for Kim Little. We didn't know if Megan would play tonight. Ellie Reed, who's played a ton of minutes. Danielle Foxhoven entering the game for her. And you saw the crowd put up a big roar for Kim Little, who has just been a terrific addition to this league this year.
She has, no doubt. She's sparked a lot of fun things that have happened in the league, and hats off to her. She's an excellent player.
Yeah. By the way, nice of Laura Harvey to give Houston a bit of a break in subbing out Kim Little and putting in Megan Rapinoe. I mean, if that doesn't speak to Seattle's depth, I'm really not sure what does.
Laura Harvey's all heart. Apparently. 9
teams in your league as Houston comes in. Cheryl is number 9. Obviously, 10's a nice round number. Where is the league in terms of potential growth to at least one more team? What's your timetable and how's that looking?
We do have a number of individuals and groups have expressed expansion interest in the league. That's one of the topics that in our upcoming owners meeting we'll be discussing, if we expand, if so, when we might expand. But you always keep your finger on the pulse of those who are interested in coming into the league, and it's a great situation to be in.
Is a new team possible as soon as next year, or is that maybe too much too soon?
You know, with the World Cup and the Olympics forthcoming, and trying to take a look at how we're going to integrate that schedule, you know, we never say never. We want to take a look at what's out there. But any final decisions will be made by
and
the owners.
I would say, too, you know, one of the things that you look at in a World Cup year with World Cup qualification and the national team players, the national team, and Jill's done a good job of, you know, it's been infused with some younger players, which is great, and there's going to be some more good college players graduating in the next year that'll end up from the 23s that will probably find a chance within the U.S. team, but at the same time, are there really enough of those players to add another franchise and spread them out over the league?
And Kawasumi to Foxhoven, who whiffed on a shot for goal, number 5 for Seattle.
That is one of the things you have to keep in mind, the quality of the play that we have out on the field. When you spread that around, you know, it changes the dynamics of what the team makeups are.
Yeah, and then can you explain a little bit to the listeners and viewers about the schedule around the World Cup for the NWSL next year?
You know, one of the things that we are taking a look at right now, we hope to have in the next week to 10 days what that schedule will look like, because you want to find a way for the league to work within the World Cup and the World Cup to work within the league. And so there are a few different things you want to look at as we're doing that, and we have a few proposals out there that we'll be discussing next week with the owners, and hopefully we'll have some decisions so everybody can see what it's going to look like.
And by proposals, do you mean things the owners have come to you with, or you guys have put in-house proposals together to go to the owners with?
A combination.
I'm sure you get plenty of input, is my guess.
You know, it's a combination. You want to listen to everybody that's looking at a variety of ways that, whether it's for their team or for the league as a whole, listen to the national teams as well. There's a lot of different voices that come into trying to decide what is the best schedule going to look like for the National Women's Soccer League.
I have you know, Jill Ellis, she's in Miami, I think. I'm not sure where she is, but she texted me early in the game, so she was watching tonight. So, Jill, if you want to text me right now, I've got Cheryl here.
This would be a high-level dialogue
conversation. We've got Cheryl right here, ready to help you with the league and the World Cup schedule if you have any input for her.
Leslie and I are here to build bridges.
Yeah.
You do a wonderful job.
Yeah, thank you.
You know, Cheryl, we've talked before about the fact that the 2 previous incarnations of women's pro soccer in this country did not survive past year 3. Tell us where you think you are as a league at this very point. Here we are in early August versus the start of the season, and how things have progressed even over that short period of time. More optimism than even just a few months ago?
I think so. I think one thing you've seen that this is the first time the league, those teams that started are all back for year 8 plus 1. Mm-hmm. That's already, you know, better footing, stability than we've had in the past. And I think even if you look at the race this year, it's as strong as it was last year, which is kind of hard to beat last year. Yeah. Which means everybody is committed. They are committed to making changes in the roster. They're committed to providing, you know, the best possibility they can every time they put their players out on the field.
Yeah.
So one of the things that we've talked about a lot we meaning just people, I know, is, Laura Harvey in her second year and being named the GM pretty early on last year, and when Bill Predmore made some changes, and clearly doing a tremendous job of assembling this team, has international experience, has international contacts, the lone female head coach in this league. So for me personally, the one to have her in our city as a resource and to see her doing so well has been outstanding. But maybe something to be discussed amongst owners is looking at female candidates for coaching positions. On the off chance there's any open jobs this year for people.
Are you interested, Leslie? Is that what?
You never say never, like you said. You never say never, like you said, Cheryl. But I know plenty of good female head coaches that I would love to see them in the league.
Absolutely. That's one thing that you want to grow. You want to grow not only the league, but you want to grow the opportunities for players, for coaches, for staff. Giving those opportunities to women is all part of what we're trying to accomplish.
Absolutely.
Well, it certainly has been a treat here in Seattle to watch this team play this year. And, there was a stretch there where you could tell the undefeated season was starting to play a little bit of a toll on the stress level. And then, trying to win the league and get home field advantage, and they just weren't clicking. But they were still either getting points or they were getting draws, or they were eking out wins, but maybe just not feeling as great about themselves as they would like to going into a championship run. But they seem right now, over the last couple of weeks, poised to really put their best foot forward heading into the championship. And, whatever happens, it's one game at a time, and it's 2 games you have to win, which, provides its own stress a little bit. But at the same time, you really hope for the Seattle franchise that they could, put this season to an end that's deserving.
It's a great run. They did have an unbelievable, they do have an unbelievable record. When you take a look at that, for any team to accomplish what they have at this point in time. Hats off to them. They've done a wonderful job.
I'm trying to think off the top of my head. What was it? It was 36 or 38 points last season that won the league. And here's Seattle. They're going to be at 53 points after tonight with 2 matches left to play. And this is a club, we've talked about all the reasons why they struggled last season. And Randy Waldron was talking about this before the game. We brought it up earlier in the broadcast. He sees Seattle as the great model for his team. Well, I think Seattle's the great model for all the teams in the bottom half of your league to say, look, not only did Seattle become a non-playoff team and a playoff team, they went from non-playoff to a dominant team, at least during the course of this regular season. We'll see what holds up and how things play
no doubt
in the postseason.
And Washington, who was in last place last year, is right now on their way to trying to get a spot in the playoffs, as is Chicago, who was down there. So we have some great success stories of those that were challenged last year but have turned it around in just 1 year.
There have been a couple of questions. Jill just texted. There have been a couple of questions, not by Jill, from, I think, coaches in the league, and it looks like what you did with the schedule is try to maybe give a little advantage to the teams that finished lower last year in the scheduling of the travel. The NWSL geographically is a little bit tough anyway, particularly for teams like Seattle and Portland, who are kind of out here, in the corner of the earth, and then the other teams having to come this far. So, I haven't really looked at it hard enough to say that that's true, but was that thought put together?
If we only could have had those types of things within the schedule. To be honest with you, the blackout dates of all the teams really goes into play. You might want to have somebody go somewhere, but it's a blackout weekend. So honestly, there's no way we could put all those details into the schedule if we tried.
That last shot for Houston by Tiffany McCarty. As we are in the 76th minute, our guest Cheryl Bailey, Executive Director of the NWSL. Where's the next stop for you?
I'm actually taking a red-eye home tonight.
All right. And home is where?
Chicago right now. I was just in Portland this last weekend with a great crowd they had down there. That was just fabulous.
Yeah, there's nothing like what they can put on there. And I think one of the other things I was going to ask you is, with Portland being kind of the rival team here in the Northwest, feeding off the old NWSL days of the Sounders and the Timbers, feeding off the current Sounders and Timbers Cascadia rivalry. What do you think about the move here for the Reign from Starfire to iconic Memorial Stadium? There's clearly some work that needs to be done putting a little bit more lipstick on a pig, as they would say. But I think playing in downtown has been kind of a cool move, and if the franchise continues to grow and do well, do you see this as a good spot for them and one that could grow the attendance?
Well, it certainly allows for increased attendance. That's one thing that the stadium certainly has that they didn't have last year. Both offer, some really unique opportunities here in Seattle. But I'll let Seattle make that call.
Yeah.
Megan Brigman, by the way, has come on for Seattle, number 23, as number 3, Lauren Barnes heads to the bench as her night is over. My understanding is if Seattle does advance to the championship match, that will be back at Starfire due to Bumbershoot here, a big music celebration and festival here at the Seattle Center area and for concerts. This is a very good outdoor venue. Look, I agree with everything Leslie just said, but you
no
put
need to, Tom. You don't have to.
No, I do. In terms of this location and the soccer history here at this stadium. But that condensed Starfire venue for a championship match, I think, would be terrific.
It'll be a great environment, no doubt about it. The only thing I look at is some of these fans won't get a chance to come.
Yeah.
Well, I think one of the things that these fans look at that will come is the fact that they can have a beer garden there. It is actually
cut to the heart of the chase, Leslie.
And remember, if it's on ESPN, Tom, you and I won't be sitting here. So.
By the way, a terrific crew on those ESPN broadcasts. I mean, it's, with Adrian and Julie, they do such a great job. I think it just elevates the profile of the league. Yeah,
no doubt. Their background in women's soccer has certainly lent an awful lot to those broadcasts.
Yeah, it really has. So great that you were able to work out that deal this season.
Yeah,
and gain exposure for the league. If you follow professional sports, and it is key to survival, and that's television. You've got to have something that makes sense, and that will buy you time that you need to really build your foundation.
Yeah, I was just going to say, for online streaming, the Bootstrapper guys have it dialed
absolutely.
in. I think that's one of the things that even last year, in a down season, and this isn't, Tom and I patting ourselves on the back, is honestly we got so many compliments just about the quality of the stream from Seattle. And I think that's one of the things that Bill Predmore and the Seattle Reign really hit the nail on the head last year. There were some other teams trying to get that worked out. The YouTube, the streams this year, all the teams have done much better.
Yeah.
And I think the standard really was set by Bootstrapper last year here in Seattle.
I would agree. And the guys and gals, they put in a lot more work than you and I do. We're going to get done here, and we're going to head to find a cool beverage, and they're going to be spending a few more hours here packing up gear. So we really do appreciate all their efforts.
There you go.
Even though they ate all the pizza tonight, didn't leave any for us.
There you go, you guys. You fished for it. You got it.
No, it's true. It's all true.
Oh, now they're offering to bring us pizza. So, with 10 minutes left in this game, again, I'll go back to Randy Waldrum and his team. They haven't thrown in the towel. They just keep plugging away. They're a young team who has been through a lot. And Randy's such a positive guy. He's going to keep them together. He knows what the deal is. And, again, same as Laura Harvey last year, the biggest thing you need to do is keep perspective. And they've really kept perspective in this club. And I see great things for them in their future. We haven't talked about internationals and the domestic players. A lot of them on the Reign are going on loan, I think. There's quite a few going to Australia. I think there's some going to Germany. So, you think about being a pro player in the long, hard grind of a professional season where the Australian season starts in late December, the European seasons start up again, and all these players will be going off. Our internationals will be doing double duty on another pro team and their international duty, getting ready for qualification and continuing to qualify. So for those of you that haven't looked at the calendar of someone like a Jess Fishlock or a Hope Solo or a Megan Rapinoe or a Kim Little, you should get out the calendar some year and see what these players do. It's truly remarkable, and I would add, aren't making the kind of money that a man would do. It's my second woman plug for the night, but I just want to throw it out there. Their schedule is crazy.
Well, look, whether it's the NWSL or the WNBA, and you have a star in Seattle like Sue Bird. Well, Sue Bird doesn't just play for the Storm. Sue Bird plays in Russia in her, she doesn't have an off season. She just goes to her other season.
Her next season.
And this is the reality of women's professional sports, and it's a testament I think, Cheryl, to the dedication of these athletes. Look, there's a practical part of it too. Bills need to be paid. And I think many of them could probably in the private workforce take advantage of those degrees that they earned and maybe do better financially. They have a passion for this.
And they're
that's
still
so
pioneers.
important. Yeah.
You know, there are pioneers that came before them that allowed this opportunity to even be here for them, which is great for all those women who have done that, paved the way. And this group is paving the way for another group that one time
there's
will
a lot
be
of
able
young
to
girls over in the stands across from us, and that's a big reason why you'll see there's these players in these orange and blue and black uniforms. They want to inspire those young girls.
And they will, and they'll pave the way in a different way.
Yeah.
And maybe one day it'll be the only job they need to have is here in one league. It's a process, and you just have to applaud every young woman who has been able to put on a uniform and get out there and inspire others to come after them.
And the one thing I would say, without beating a dead horse in the feminist card, but one thing I would say is part of what's kept women's soccer so true and so great is that it's clear that these players are playing for the right reason, that they're passionate about the game, that they love the game, that they want to help grow the game, and a lot of them. Nice job by Kottmeyer.
Houston with an opportunity here. Jackson could not get the shot off. The Dash putting a lot of pressure on the Seattle defense, and Kottmeyer doing a very nice job to punch that ball out.
She came out and boxed that one pretty well. Probably could have got a little more height and distance on it to clear it, so it didn't come back in a second time. But she was in a crowd, and her timing was very good. And again, the Reign they want a shutout. They want to make sure that they leave a clean sheet and play as hard as they can for Kottmeyer because she's not the regular starter and has been a great personality on this team.
Goal for Houston. Well, that was a well-served ball. And the finish and the goal.
Yeah, on a bad giveaway,
19.
and the ball gets played out to the flank there. And
Nina Berger.
Nina didn't have a lot of pressure on her when the ball came in, and a good finish running, far post to near post, and just a flick that goes the other direction. Outstanding finish with the outside of her right foot to the far post. It's clinical.
4-1, of course, the final back on July 30th, ironically in Houston. 4-1 in favor of Seattle.
And as I was just talking about, you want to see Haley Kottmeyer get the clean sheet because she has played well and the team has played hard in front of her, and they've defended 2 off the line now. But credit to Houston, again, plugging away and taking advantage of every top opportunity they have to get themselves on the board and to show Coach Waldron that they're going to play for 90 minutes regardless.
Well, Cheryl, we always appreciate your coming by. Thank you so much. Hopefully we'll see you out here for some playoff action as well. Safe travels back home to
Thanks,
the
you guys.
And a good shot there by, is that Goebel or Danielle? Yeah, a great shot by Goebel. Thank you, Cheryl. Jill texted and said you've been nothing but kind to her.
You are a bridge builder.
I'm a stupid idiot most of the time, Tom.
Well, I disagree with that. A night of rare corner attempts, but here's one for the Reign. Kawasumi to take it here in the 85th minute. And again, our thanks to Cheryl Bailey, Executive Director of the NWSL. Stephanie Cox to Megan Rapinoe. Fishlock. And a save that time by Henniger as she came out. The goal by Nina Berger, by the way, her 3rd on the season. I tell you, the sun goes down and the breeze cools things down a bit here.
Yeah,
we've had a terrific venue.
We've had a terrific summer in Seattle, and there haven't been too many poor weather games here at Memorial, and it's perfect right now. Naho. Foxhoven coming over to the near side and drawing a big gap on the far side for Naho to run into, and final pass just wasn't executed that well, but she was on. There's been the goals tonight fairly interesting. It's hard not to say that the Reign don't deserve to win this game because I do think that they've had the better of the play for sure. But if you're the Houston Dash, you could certainly make an argument for the fact that a couple of the calls, the onside calls, offside calls, whichever camp you're in, might have been questionable. But at the end of the day, I don't think that this was a game that the Dash were going to win.
Cop Meyer sending it out. Kawasumi and Seattle with a 4-on-3 advantage here. Kawasumi holding a bit, dropping off for Rapinoe. Here's Winters. Cox. Back to Keelan. And she strikes from distance. About 28 yards out. We were talking about Jess Fishlock, unsung hero. Keelan Winters is another one of those players. In the back line for Seattle that doesn't get talked about as much. Cox, Barnes, Fletcher, Reed, they've been so solid all season long.
You're just going to have a lot of players on your team that are, you want your forwards to be the stars. You want your number 10 player to be the star of the team. That's why when you say the number 10, everyone knows the 10 is the 10. Mm-hmm. And you want your forwards and your front runners to score goals, and that's their job. The job of the back line is to go unnoticed because they do everything so consistently, so cleanly, so smoothly, and they don't make a lot of errors, and that's exactly what this team has done. And the midfield, they're your engine, particularly if you have two holding midfielders like we have in Fishlock and Winters, is, again, consistency, connecting, workers, the engine, if you will, the connector between the back line where it's a little bit dangerous and the front line where it can be fun and creative. So this team that Laura has assembled, and you can move parts in and out just about as much as you want. She's assembled and they play like a team,
yeah.
Like a team you want to watch play, and a team that you'd love to coach.
And when during the course of the season do you really want to hit your stride? Right now, right when they're doing it.
And that's what you did about 3 weeks ago. You got a little nervous for them. And in their heads, and rightfully so, when you're winning that many games, you kind of start thinking ahead of like, we've won all these games. Can we really win the big one? And you don't want to get ahead of yourself. You want to take a 1-0 mentality. You want to just approach each game and get better each game. And Laura said at one point during the middle of the season, we haven't won anything yet, but if the season were to end tomorrow, she is just ultra proud of what this team has done and how great they've been to coach and how much they care for each other and are committed to being the best that they can. And the addition of the internationals that they have this year in Naho, Bev coming from Japan, and Kim Little have really added to the sort of the maturity of this team, if you will. So, for us sitting up here and being able to watch them, for the kids in this city, for the fans of Seattle and all the women's soccer fans to be able to, be a part of this has just been, really outstanding. Well,
if this 4-1 score holds over the last 4 matches, Seattle has outscored the opposition 14-3. And so that again speaks to how they have elevated their play in this really remarkable season. They're going to go to 53 points. Not sure how Kansas City did tonight. They were, I think, weather issues started that game at the same time we got underway. That matchup, Boston at Kansas City, and Kansas City looking for a win tonight to clinch the number 2 seed heading into the postseason. There's a nicely served ball in for Houston, but Cop Meyer's there.
An hour ago, I think Kansas City was up 1-0 on an A-Rod breakaway, according to my reliable source of Twitter.
Edwards.
Possible weather delay and cancellation, though, maybe?
Not sure exactly what those issues were. I was following on Twitter and didn't see the specific reason why. Maybe thunderstorms this time of year back in Kansas City. Certainly a common situation. Get some very nasty weather. Cox, 2 minutes of added time.
2 minutes of extra time, 2 minutes.
Look at Jess Fishlock just continue to work with a 3-goal advantage. Pushing forward, and offside is Kawasumi.
I'm sure Randy enjoys seeing that flag. So we've had some questions about the number 10 player. For those people that may be a little naive or just uneducated on the numbering system in soccer, the number 10 player is typically someone who plays in an attacking midfield role, and a lot of times they do wear the number 10 jersey, but they're in an attacking midfield role, are allowed to roam a little bit, be more creative, be a playmaking type player. So in this situation, you see Jessica Fishlock playing in the number 10 jersey, but she's not playing in the number 10 spot. That's Kim Little's spot. Jess does move up to that position sometimes and makes a perfectly good number 10 player. I can go into that more if you need to, but I think the people I need to educate have heard enough.
That was a good explanation. Foxhoven, Cox, Rapinoe. Right there you had 3 former Portland Pilots connecting. Foxhoven, Cox, and trying to make that final connection with Megan Rapinoe. Headed away by Fletcher. Here's Becky Edwards. Jackson, McFarland. Nice ball, and oh boy, terrific.
Great ball by McFarland, and a quality shot by, was that Kaylin Kyle? And that ball more found Haley Kottmeyer than Haley Kottmeyer finding that ball, but that was a well-served service ball, and it was a great strike by Caitlin Kyle to get on the end of it, and unfortunate for the Dash not to get one out of that.
Romero with the throw in. McCarty could not get to that pass. And the final whistle blows in Seattle, and the Reign improved to 16 wins, just the 1 loss, 5 ties, 53 points with 2 games left to play in this NWSL season, with a 4-1 victory here tonight against the Houston Dash, as you see players exchanging handshakes and congratulations here tonight at Memorial Stadium. So a job well done by Laura Harvey's club, and they'll get ready for the next match coming up against Washington.
Yep, my friend Veronica Perez, our former Husky, playing for the Washington Spirit, and they'll be in town before the Reign turn around and play on the 17th of August, I believe, the Portland Thorns in the regular season finale, which is sure to be another knockdown, drag-out contest.
So to recap the scoring for Seattle, it was a scoreless match until the 32nd minute. Naomi Kawasumi scoring at that point. 2 minutes later, Kawasumi again on a questionable call, whether or not it should or should not have been offside against Kawasumi. Call stood in favor of Seattle. 5 minutes after that, Bev Goebel made it 3-0 Seattle. And then the Reign in the second half, 63rd minute. Kim Little with her league-leading 15th goal put Seattle up 4-0. And the Dash getting the final goal here tonight from Nina Berger to give you the 4-1 final score.
Yeah, there was a lot of fun things about that game, the score being one of them, and just a little bit of the, I think, relaxed way that Seattle played.
Yeah.
They were able to weather a little bit of a storm early by the Houston Dash, and again, we've talked about the controversy maybe of the goal, but I think one of the goals, and I think maybe it was coming anyway, but it was really fun to see the Reign click, the Reign play relaxed, get some players some rest, and at the same time, as Laura Harvey stated to me earlier in the day, is just stay true to what they want to do and how they want to play.
So again, 53 points now for the Reign. Of course, heading into this match, they had already taken care of the #1 seed heading into the postseason. There will be a home semifinal, and if that match is won, it would be a home championship match for Laura Harvey's club.
Can we see a close-up of what's happening down there? We like to get in on the circle. I see a laundry basket of some kind, a cooler. Things being handed out. Shield t-shirts. Nice. Perfect. So for winning the league outright, that's
T-shirts reading "Fortunes favor the bold," and they have certainly been that this season.
I don't know, Tom. What size are you?
XL.
Did you give them your size?
I have done nothing except have the pleasure of following this team this season, and it has been a joy. We'll do it one more time, Leslie and I, before the Reign hit the road, and then in the postseason, ESPN2 will take over. For Leslie Gallimore and our outstanding crew with Bootstrap, with the folks behind the scenes that really put in a lot of terrific work, our thanks to them. As always, I'm Tom Glasgow. Again, your final score, the summer of celebration in Seattle with this Reign team continues with a 4-1 win over the Houston Dash.
Always a pleasure, Tom. Thanks for playing along, everybody, and tolerating me. Let it rain.